All right, so the first thing first, okay? We have a new addition to our classroom. It's over here. These are what are called compasses, okay? Or compi, as we like to call them, okay? So you are going to need to have one of these at home if you want to do your homework starting today, okay? We have a classroom set. There's 30 of them. When we leave, before we leave, there's going to be 30 of them back in here. Understand? These are not toys. Okay? All right? So how they work is actually so I'm going to trust that I don't have to have you put your ID in here in order to take one out. Okay? So come on up and grab one. Or send one person from each table to grab enough. So, how these work, okay? Right? So first off, we'll deal with the sharp ends, okay? So there is a metal pointy end, and there is a pencil end on each one, okay? Now, I will tell you that you're in a packet, you're fine. But if you had a separate sheet of paper, like for instance, if you had a quiz or a test, okay, you would want to put some more padding underneath there, because if you just have a sheet of paper, it's going to slide all around. Okay? Okay? So you want it on your the metal pointy part goes in the center of your circle, and then if you see, you can spin this center dial, and that will expand out your circle. Okay? So you put the metal pointy part in the center, and then you expand out to however big you want it. And then how you go about this is on top they all have a pink like type nail polish handle. Okay, so you want to spread it out to the distance that you want it in by using the middle metal wheel. That's tough to say fast. Okay, and then you're going to stick the metal part into the paper, and then you're just going to spin with your hand or with your fingers. You're just going to literally spin that in your fingers. Don't grab onto both sides. Literally grab up top and just spin it around on that. Okay? Don't use it to poke yourself. Don't use it to draw. This pencil is for drawing circles, not for doing your notes. Okay? With me? Okay? So the only thing that this gets used for is construction purposes that we're going to start today. Okay? Don't grab onto it like this and like squeeze it. Okay? Right? It's, again, not a toy. Okay? Use it as it is, because these do cost a lot of money. These are about $10 a piece, and if you break it, you bought it. Okay? So I'll give you a couple of seconds. You can flip your paper over, or you can go up on the side of your notes and just draw some different circles. Yes, we have extra lines. One of the functions of a compass is to draw circles. Okay? Right? It makes a perfect circle. Okay? So there are a couple of different parts of a circle. The first big part of a circle is all circles have a center. Okay? That's the middle part of a circle. The true definition of a circle, or the geometric definition of a circle, is the set of all points that are equidistant from one point. Okay? So the set of all points equidistant from one point. Okay? So that one point that we're equidistant from, that is the center. Okay? The distance that those are, or that those points are from the center, is called the radius. Okay? Back-to-back radii, or the distance across a circle through the center, is called the diameter. Okay. A chunk, or a portion of the actual circle, is called an arc, and the area that an arc takes up, the slice of pizza, if you will, is called the sector. So circles have a center, they have a radius, they have a diameter. A part of the outside the edge of the circle is called an arc, and that piece of pizza is called a sector. Okay? All right? Now, what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be using our compi, if you will, to make different geometric constructions. That's really the main reason, or the main purpose of a compass, is to assist in constructions. Okay? So, if I want to copy exactly a segment, okay, so what I would do then is I would first have the segment that I'm going to copy. And I'm going to measure out that segment. How I go about measuring out that segment is I put one end of my compass on one end of my segment, and then I expand out my compass until I get to the other end of the segment. Okay? Then, so if I'm going to call this point A and point B. Then over here next to it, what I'm going to do is I am going to draw myself a line segment larger than that, using preferably a straight edge. Okay, side note, it's going to help to have a straight edge today because we're going to be doing constructions. Okay. Then, without moving my compass, so you guys got it nice because we bought you the nice compi, okay? So without moving my compass, now I'm going to, oops, tap the brakes. Now I'm going to move my compass over, and I'm going to put the metal end of my compass on one end of it, of that new segment that I drew. And then I'm going to grab onto the top and I'm going to make what we call a tick mark on that new segment. So then this point here would be A prime, and this point here would be B prime. Which is why you got to draw that original, your test or your original segment needs to be longer, because then you're going to have to copy it down. And then what you can do is you can either, if you wanted to, you could leave it like that. We're totally fine with that. Or you could erase all of that part and just have that segment back. Okay? Either way works. Okay? That's how you copy a segment. Handle that? Okay. Let's go into copying an angle. Oops, I gotta bring this down. So if I am going to copy an angle, the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to just draw myself a straight line over there. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink up my compass so that I'm inside that angle somewhere. Okay. And I'm going to arc the entire angle. So I've just arced the entire angle. Then, same distance, go over to your new segment and make a large arc across that segment. With me so far? You guys got to let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay? Now you're going to go back to your original arc, and you're going to pick one of the two intersection points of your arc and one of the sides of your angles. Doesn't matter if you pick the top one like I did, or if you pick the bottom one. You got to put the pointy end on one of them, and you're going to measure out this opening right here. Okay. So you're going to measure that opening. Now you're going to take that and you're going to come over to your other arc, find your intersection point, and you're going to draw an intersecting arc. Okay? So again, I measured this gap over here from, we'll call it from A to B. I measured that arc distance. And then I went over here and I put my pointy end on B prime and arced it to find A prime. Now, if I call the vertex, actually let's call the vertex B, not C. if I call the vertex V, then this is V prime, and I would just have to connect V prime to A prime. And what that has done is that has created this angle here is congruent to this angle there. And when you're arcing, arc up here. Because otherwise what happens is your pressure on that expands it out a little bit so you don't get a perfect test. Yep, yep. Okay? So, now that we've all done it, now let's write down what those steps were. Okay? So step 1 for copying an angle was draw a segment. Okay? And that was step 1. We drew that segment. Step 2 was we arced original angle. That was step 2. Step 3 was we same arced on the new segment. So that was step 3 there. Step 4 was we measured the arc on original angle. That was step 4 there. Step 5 was we had intersecting arcs then. And step 6 was we connected them. Do you want me to write down the steps for copying just a segment? Or was that one pretty easy? Draw a segment, measure it, arc it, go. Yeah? Everybody got these written down? Because this will be, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, a test question. I'm telling you right now, these constructions are all going to be test questions. Okay? All right? Good? That's it for copying an angle. Okay? Bisecting a segment. Okay? So how we go about bisecting a segment is we put our pointy end on one side and we expand our compass to more than half of the segment. It has to be more than half. You'll see why if it's not half. Okay? So if you go more than half, you got to go more than halfway across. If you go all the way across, that's fine. If you go more than all the way across, that's fine too. But you have to go at least half of the segment. Okay? So expand those out to at least half. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make an arc above. Oops. You're going to make an arc above. Actually, truthfully, you just make one big arc from that side. Okay? Got to go all the way. You got to get all the way down. You got to get all the way up. Okay? You got to go at least 180 degrees. Then you go to the other side and make a big arc from the other side. And then lastly, connect those points. And what that has created is that has created this segment. So let's call these points now. Let's go A, B, and C. What we've done is we've said that A segment AB is now congruent to segment BC. With me so far? Yeah. Going too fast? No? A little bit? You good so far? Like I can start the next one, just I'll slow it down a little bit. Okay. All these notes will be on Canvas too. Okay. Bisecting an angle. First thing, you're going to arc the angle. Okay. So we arc the angle. Next thing, you're going to go to one of those intersection points. And you're going to put a bigger arc in the middle somewhere of your angle. you got an arc somewhere in the middle that you expand it out just a little bit more. With me? Then you're going to do the same from the other intersection point. With the same length. So you move your compass down here, intersection point. And that creates a new intersection point. Yes? Connect those. And what that has done now is that has created this angle here is congruent to that angle there. You have bisected that angle. For my next two. Perpendicular bisector. Creating a perpendicular bisector we already did. That's the only way to do it. Okay? So we created a bisector when we bisected a segment that is created a perpendicular bisector. I don't know why we had it on there twice. Okay? That's a perpendicular bisector right there. Okay? Perpendicular line through a given point. We'll do this one and then we'll stop. Oops, I gotta bring my compass down. So we need to have our pointy end on the point, and you need to arc the line, which means you have to have 2 points on the line. So you might have to expand it out rather large. Right now, here, let me show you. Right now, if I arc the line, I hit twice. Okay? You need to have 2 intersection points on your line. Okay? Okay? Now you just do a perpendicular bisector. So those are now the endpoints of your segment. So we go more than halfway. Make an arc above and an arc below from one side And from the other side, one of your intersection points should be at the point that you chose. And the other one is below. And then you just connect. Yep. Because otherwise what happens is when you swoosh like this, you're putting pressure on it, and so it's expanding and contracting. Okay? Okay? We will be using these compasses tomorrow, all of next week, all of the week after, and so on and so forth. So we'll get better at these. Today was just kind of get you the 4 basic ones. Okay? If you please bring back the compi, if you want to have one person know that we don't care about what slot they go in, just as long as they go on the bottom 5 rows.